This is the Vision 79 podcast, where my friend Sander and myself, Mason, discuss recent developments in our business and personal growth. The name Vision 79 comes from our respective racing numbers. Sanders is 40, mine is 39, and we have similar ambition to progress in our business and personal growth. Many successful people have started small just like us, but very few of them have documented their early years. They often say they wish they had, and given we believe in learning lessons from others, we intend to be the first to document our journey from start to finish. This is simply a documentary of our lives, and as such, we do not monetize these videos, so enjoy the ad-free content. Each episode is broken down into 3 segments, each covering our progress over the past week. We start by discussing our life updates, then our business updates, and lastly, we share any lessons we've learned over the past week. We have timestamps in the description to navigate these sections easily. Today is April 5th, 2026, and we're recording episode 103. So, what is your life update this week?
Life update this week is I worked at Blue Origin, so a lot of testing work, um, ground support equipment buildup, stuff like that. The main guy that I like working with, he was out for a couple days, and like during those days, I tried to find stuff to do and like asked around. And I was asking people, I was like, oh, like, do we need help here? Do we need help there? And there was like super small things that they were like, oh yeah, go do this, go do that. Like no one was really doing that much.
Huh.
And then he came back and he was like, what the fuck have y'all been doing for 2 days? And I was like, I don't know. Like I've been asking people like what they want me to do, and they've been giving me like odd end tasks, like this thing or that thing, but like I don't know how to set up for this test. I haven't set up for it before. Like also the instructions are really vague, which is like common for our team. And so it's like, I can't like take the work order and like know what to do and hook up because like part numbers aren't listed, QD connections aren't listed, hose numbers aren't listed. Like it's just like connect the hose to blank.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, I have to build up this hose, find the right fittings, get the right hose, the right pressure rating, know where to hook it up. There's no pictures, right? Like none of this stuff. So it's like, I just kind of go off of what people tell me to do, and then I observe once the test happens. So like I don't like I've been trying to do some stuff, and so he got there and he's like, "All right, well we got to friggin' crank this whole thing out." We went over to the fabrication assembly building, the fab, and we started at like 9 a.m. and we friggin' cranked, dude. It was like 80-pound hydraulic hoses, friggin' lugging these things across the bay, like unraveling these things, swapping out QDs.
Damn.
Like putting in these massive, like a check valve, like not like a check valve, like these things are like 100-pound check valves.
Yeah.
Like friggin' lugging these things, throwing them on. We had to fire up the generator was all screwed up. We had to fire up the generator, get the hydraulic pumping unit running, clean the fluid while we hooked up hoses to the vehicle. We had to build up a jumper hose. We had to modify some stuff, like all this shit, like just crank. And we got it done like all in like 4 hours.
That's crazy fast, dude.
Super fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just, dude, he was putting in this, he was like, oh shit, we need a check valve for this one line, for the return side line. And he was like, grab that check valve over there. And it was like, it was a quick disconnect on each end, and then just a block, the check valve. But the block didn't have like any directional indication.
Oh my God.
And so he was putting it in. And I was like, hey, like, just for like curiosity's sake, how do we know that this is the right direction? He's like, I got no idea. He's like, I'm literally just guessing.
We'll know when we get the data.
And it was right. It was fine. But then he was like, I'm just assuming because it fits. And I was like, all right. And so we did that.
That's crazy.
But yeah, we were cranking on Friday. I was supposed to go take the cats to the vet for like their annual, and like I totally missed it. I didn't schedule it.
Yeah. Dude, we had busy. When I was in like 3rd grade, this is when we were starting to do science projects, right? You guys did science projects growing up? Science fair?
Yeah. We didn't have a science fair, but we did projects.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We had the fair where you like did trifold boards.
We didn't
and whatever.
really do that.
Gotcha. Man, that was so daunting when I was a kid, and now I'm like, dude, I fucking could crank that out in an afternoon. But they had this lesson that they did where the teacher was at the front, and they said, okay, I have all the materials to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich. I've got like bread and jelly and forks, whatever. And they said, write instructions to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich, and then I'm going to follow it, and then you eat the sandwich that I make you. And so we were like, okay. And so you're in 3rd grade. So you write down like, put peanut butter on the bread, put jelly on the bread, put them together, right? And the teacher would they went one by one. and they read these instructions out loud, and they were like, put the peanut butter on the bread. So they took the sealed jar of peanut butter with the like aluminum tab still in it, and they just set it on the loaf of bread. And they were like, that's your sandwich, Mason. Enjoy. And I was like, oh man. And the whole lesson was like, be detailed in your instructions and like list part numbers, right? And that kind of stuff. So when you mentioned that it's like a low fidelity work order, it's like, oh man, I learned that in third
Yeah,
grade.
so much of our stuff is low fidelity, which like if you know what you're doing is kind of nice because like you can kind of just like do your own shit.
Yeah.
And
And
like
someone else has to follow it and they're new.
that's the problem. Yeah.
Right.
So, but worked on that. Went skating last night with Sammy. That was
Like
fun.
roller skating?
No, like ice skating at the
Gotcha.
Iceplex.
Cool.
Up in Rockledge.
Cool.
So we do that like once a month or so, maybe once every 2 months or whatever.
You seem to really like it.
I think it's actually pretty fun.
you were just kind of like, yeah, we did this or that.
Well, it's
I'm
fun.
just messing with you.
I enjoyed it.
Cool.
It's a very different, like it's all mainly high schoolers up there. And like, you know, maybe 5% of the people there are over the age of like 20.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, a lot of high school kids and then us skating or whatever. That was fun. And then of course the Artemis launch on Wednesday was super cool.
That's right.
So your dad got us into Banana Creek. That was sweet. And 7 & 5 Museum. And then watched it go up. All seemed to go well so far. So that was pretty sweet. That was cool.
Yeah, I was telling Anna and Ralph upstairs, I was like, every launch I've been to has delays, every single one. Even if it's like a minor delay, like no one ever goes at the beginning of the launch window. And we were there and we were watching, and like everything was green, and they started the T count, and I was like, dude, no way. Like this is ominous. This is going ominously well. And you were like, just wait. They fire the APUs up at like T-2 minutes, and like that's when we'll know if we're actually gonna go or not. Fired up all the APUs, everything was green, and I was like, dude, I like started to kind of get nervous. Like that's when I got nervous. When nothing went wrong up to that point, that's when I got nervous. And I was like, uh-oh. And then it went up clean, no problems. And I was like, wow, that's impressive. It's impressive for it to go that smoothly.
Yeah.
And since then, I've been checking in and everything seems to be running well. So
yeah.
I
was looking at the live stream not too long ago. Yeah.
They did a stream yesterday where they had astronauts answer questions, which was cool. I watched some of that.
Cool.
Yeah, I haven't gotten through all of it yet. But yeah, there was this really interesting segment I saw from an interview before they launched that all the astronauts were doing at a panel. And one of the interview questions asked Victor Glover, the pilot, he's the only black guy on the mission. And they asked him, hey, you know, there's people talking about this being like a DEI crew because there's like one white American man, and then there's a Canadian man, a woman, and then a black man. And so like that's a very diverse crew. What do you say?
I actually saw this answer, yeah.
And I thought it was really cool. They were like, what do you say to people who say that this is like a DEI hire? And he was like, listen, if there's a kid who looks like me, who grows up and sees me doing this and it inspires him, awesome. I'm happy for him. If there's a young girl who grows up and sees, you know, my crewmate doing something that they want to do and it helps inspire them, that's great. But this is not a type of human endeavor. This is for all humanity. Like we want any person to look at us and go, if that human can do it, then I can.
Yeah, this is just a human experience. Like one day it shouldn't be about like women versus man and black versus white and all this other stuff. Like it's just, this is the human experience and these are people that are doing it.
Right. It's all of humanity.
Yeah.
And I thought that's the best response to a DEI question I've ever heard. That was great. It also helps that he has like a fucking stack of evidence, like providing like it's not a DEI hire. Like he's flown 40 different airframes and 24 combat missions for the Navy, and he's been to space before.
Well
like,
overqualified.
Decorated, well overqualified. So it's like, of course he's not a DEI hire because he meets all the qualifications. But even if you were to bring up that conversation, the fact that he flipped it around and he was like, we should all be together in this for all of humanity, right? Which I thought was a cool answer.
Yeah, no, I dig it. But yeah, that's what I had for life this week. I think pretty much everything else wraps into work. I'm going on third shift next week. So I've been trying to shift my sweep schedule because I have to work.
What is third shift?
10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Yeah, but it was like the alternatives were like I work on first shift with like people that I don't mind. It's fine. But like also like first shift is like kind of reserved for like the senior folk so that they don't like they've been there longer, so they'll go on first shift. Or a second shift, like they're nice people, but like I don't know, I just didn't really feel like working with them on second shift. One of the guys I like, the other one's like I don't know. He reminds me of this like friend I used to have who like just kind of like assumes that you can read their mind,
Mm.
and it's like just kind of like annoying. Like they won't talk to me. Like they'll just like command like go do this thing, and it's like
Oh.
why, and it's like because.
Because I said so.
Right, and it's like, okay, well, like, how the fuck am I gonna learn? Right, like,
Right.
if you go tell me to clear the aft module in the rocket, like, I need to understand why because I'm looking at the work order, and by the work order, we're not going above a high pressure.
Right.
So why am I clearing it for high pressure? And it's like they have some reasoning, but like they don't tell me.
Right.
And it's like they're sitting right next to me, they just won't talk to me. And so it just gets annoying.
That is annoying.
It's like it's just boring
Yeah.
and annoying. And so I just go do this thing.
Right.
And then it's like when the instructions are clear and then like I come back and I'm like, I don't understand what you want me to do. Or like, do you want me to do like, for example, they're having me bump flow rate. And I was like, do you want me to bump it all the way up or you just want me to bump it a little bit? And then they'll just start yelling and pointing. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm asking, like, this is a simple question. Like, I've been here a month and a half. Give me some slack.
Yeah.
It's like, I've never run this test and the instructions aren't clear. And you're clearly doing something off nominal because the instructions don't say to clear the aft module for high pressure because we're not supposed to be at high pressure. I'm like, what the fuck?
I actually had this thought earlier this week because I was working. We have like a fucking crazy amount of work to do. And I'm familiar with like 80% of it, but it's at the point now where it's like, I'm reading this huge list of requirements and I need to know off rip if this requirement is written exactly the same at this other spec. And then I need to know how to go find it, right? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I know this well enough to do it, but it's such a slog and I don't want to do it. But I know that if Sander and I were in the same conference room, like right now I do all this work at my desk on my own, but like I could just as easily like book a conference room and you and me could just go in there and put it on the projector and like talk about it. And just the fact that we would both be in the room talking about it would be so much more engaging for me to actually like encode this information and remember it.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I wish Sander worked with me because that would make this so much more fun. Like even
Yeah.
even fun, not just tolerable or doable, but like enjoyable, you know?
Yeah. That's what I like about, so the guy who's moving to third shift is the guy who had 2 days off and then came back in and he was like, what the fuck have y'all been doing?
Yeah.
Like I like working with him.
Yeah.
Because he'll like just go out and do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he'll actually explain to me like what's going on. And like I can ask him questions and be like, I don't understand why we are doing this.
Right.
And like he's been there for a while, so he really gets it.
Yeah.
And he's like a little bit old school. I think he's in his 50s, like mid 50s. So he's like a little bit old school. But like I like that vibe. I enjoy working with him more.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I'll volunteer to move to third shift because I don't really like.
You want to learn.
Really want
You're not there to
get punted to first shift and then not learn much, or get punted to second shift and not learn much. I'd rather be on third shift, and like learn a little bit more and ask more questions and stuff. So that's how I kind of volunteered for that.
Gotcha.
And also, Sammy's been like, "You're never home," and I was like, "And guess what? I'm moving to third shift, so I'll be home.
I'll be asleep
the whole time that you're teleworking." Yeah. But so that's about my life update. I guess I helped a friend with a coworker pull a wiring harness yesterday on a Mustang, but that was like only a couple hours.
Why was he pulling the wiring harness?
He has a Mustang that he's swapping from automatic to manual.
Gotcha.
And so he needed the pedal assembly, the associated pedal assembly, wiring harness, and then he also took the engine harness.
Gotcha.
And ECU.
Gotcha. So this is a scrap car?
Yeah, this is a scrap car that he was pulling it off.
Gotcha. What was wrong with it?
I didn't get the full story on it, but I think a kid bought it, and then he drove it, and the kid who owned it then went to prison for a while, and then the car just sat, and then he got out of prison, and he was just like, I'm just going to part it out and make some money back.
Huh.
Yeah.
So it's a running, driving car?
It was. I mean, it no longer has the wiring harness in it and the transmission or the rear end or anything.
Crazy.
I mean, the car was pretty rough. I think he was probably in prison for a while because it was pretty, like, it looked like it sat there for a few years at least.
Got it. So it wasn't.
It was in like a grass yard.
Yeah,
which like nothing really ages well.
Right.
Yeah,
my Camaro doesn't.
All the seals were out. It sucked, dude. I did the guy I was working with was heavier set, so I got stuck with the wiring harness that's underneath the engine as well as the pedal box.
That's all you're there to do.
Yeah.
What else are you there to do?
Well, he did the above section of the wiring harness on the engine.
Got it.
And all that stuff in the ECU and whatever.
The really hard stuff.
It was fine. But
I can't say much. Anytime there's an electric issue on the Camaro, I just call you and I
yeah, well, the
man.
pedal box sucked because the friggin' all the seals in the door were like blown out, and so the friggin' floor was soaked and mildewy. So like had to like flip these like WeatherTech mats upside down and put rags down, and like
That's
had her
terrible.
like stuck in this like mildew cabin trying to get this fucking pedal box out.
We did something in the Camaro where we had to get like upside down way in there.
What's
Oh, is the when the AC went out and we had that weird
Yeah, that's
issue
right.
with a few things were off, and it was the ignition switch connector that's right over. Yeah,
Yeah.
ignition switch. Yeah, that was it. That was fun.
I was driving the car earlier this week, and I've been driving it gentle so that it doesn't overheat. So like, I'll get it up to speed and then I'll just coast in neutral to get the airflow thrown through, and I'm not burning extra fuel to up the heat. And I hit an open patch of road and I was like, fuck it. Like there's no traffic. Like I can drive fast and then I can control the temperatures after that, right? Because usually I'm trying to control temperatures in traffic. So I'm like putting a wheel over the line to try to get some clean air, and then I drift back in and it's all in neutral, right? So it's like
Yeah.
neutral, and then I'll bump it and forth for a few seconds at like 1500 RPM, and then I'm back again just to keep the car rolling. But there was no traffic and I just gunned it and I was like, oh my God, dude, I love this car. And then I had to go back to driving all like fucking energy. I was like, this is what Max Verstappen feels like going to the Nürburgring, is that he's got a fucking battery manage in Formula One when he can go rip in a GT3 car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. As much as that car drives like a boat and like is just so sloppy, like dude, sloppy sex on a weekend feels great, It's like it's like drunk sex in college. It's like you don't want it every day, but when you're in the mood for it, God, nothing else is like that.
I was thinking about what I want to do on the 914s a little bit this week.
Turbocharger.
Yeah, I was thinking turbos. I thought that'd be super sick. Like either with the flat floor.
Wait,
or
this is
flat
what you were
six.
gonna say or no?
Yeah.
What, really?
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
I just taking the piss.
Yeah, no. I was like, it would, because I've always wanted a car that was turbocharged with like a hood exit that's just obnoxious. Like that just
How would
spits
you get a
flame.
hood exit?
Well, it would be a trunk exit.
Oh, got it. That's also kind of cool though.
Yeah, so I was thinking it would be super sick to have like two small turbos, twin turbo each side, tucked under, and then fucking have it exit out the rear quarter panels. Just dump straight out the rear quarters and just spit.
That's pretty
That'd be
interesting.
friggin' so sick, dude.
That would be pretty
Spit
sick.
some flames out the side.
It's
I was
so
thinking
funny.
that would be like so dope.
I did the pull in the Camaro this week, the one pull I did this week. And I parked it and I was like, this is so much fun. And then I thought to myself and I was like, I cannot believe that Sander has never owned a V8 vehicle. That kid is missing out.
I know.
And then I was like, I should tell him to let him know before he goes into building like a ton of Porsche 914s. He should just get one V8 car for fun. And then just have that in the back of his mind. But turbos on a Porsche is a fun idea too. I hadn't considered that.
Yeah, I thought about small V8 too.
In the Porsche?
Mm-hmm. People have put LSs in those cars.
That feels
crazy.
Dangerous. No, I've seen this because the timing chain is like right up against the firewall.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the belts. Yeah, it feels dangerous.
Yeah. No, I want one or more of the 914s to be a car that's genuinely scary to drive. Like that, like you get in it and you're like, this wants to kill me.
You know what car I think I associate with you with like a V8 car? Is when you were teaching me how to drive on the simulator, it was like a C6 Corvette.
Oh yeah, the C5R.
The C5R. It was the C5R, yeah, at Daytona, and I couldn't drive it for shit. But you loved the car.
Fun.
You're like, if you know how to drive it, it's a ton of fun. And you were having a blast with it. So like, I always think to myself, I'm like, dude, Sanders' first V8 should be a fucking C5 bright blue Corvette. That's exactly what you should get.
That's probably. I think I'd have a lot lot fun.
You should put it on your list. You should put it on your list.
Yeah.
You're getting all the Porsche stuff for free. Spend a little money on a C5 and have fun with it.
Finish paying back my debt first. Yeah, and do that.
We're all dreaming.
Yeah. But no, I'm
brainstorming.
Yeah, I'm more leaning towards, like one of the lesson I have learned is like related to like just one step at a time, because like I gotta think about it from that perspective, because thinking about it on a longer time horizon, I think it's going to be a lot of like small steps until I can get a space that will cash flow. And then I can afford cool stuff like turbos on a 914 or whatever I want to do.
Income.
Yeah, but I like to do that off of 9 to 5 income, I think to like start and get something going is possible, but like to maintain it and make it lively enough for long-term sustainability, you have to have cash flow otherwise.
You should get your real estate license.
Another side project.
That's the income answer. That's
Yeah. But it's like the like 914 racing or something along those lines. Or like a Porsche racing team or something like that, vintage Porsche style, or even maintenance. Like that stuff can cash flow really, really well. And I think that can make the other stuff affordable. And to get like a space with some tooling, which I have a lot of the tools besides a lift, like to get a space like that and start doing like weekend work, I think is feasible. In order to kind of get that ball rolling after I finish paying off the debt. Because after I finish paying off the debt, like my expenses are relatively low right now. And so it'd be very attainable for me to either move or get like a second location that has more garage space, something like that, and kind of work towards that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now.
if you move and live and work there, then you cut out your rent and your utility bills. Probably
That's probably what I'm thinking about most. Is like having a small style house, like 2-room, 3-room house with like a garage warehouse style space.
like
with-
barn dominium.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just like make the living side of it super, super simple, and the garage space like the actual business side of it.
That's what Anna and Ralph's place is like.
Yeah,
I should take you down there sometime and show you what they had built out, because they took a shell and then they renovated it and like put stuff in it, and so it's
Cool.
similar to what you could do.
Yeah.
But it's a cool place.
but that's kind of going, I guess, a little bit into my business update, sort of, but not really. But that's my life update.
Gotcha.
What do you have for life this week?
I also went to the Artemis launch. It was a ton of fun. That's the closest I've ever been for a launch. We watched the Artemis I launch from the Causeway, which is probably double the distance, if not further.
Yeah.
And so this was definitely
It's
the best launch
further,
I've
for
ever been
sure.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's far.
And that launch took like 4 launch attempts to do. So again, I'm impressed with how quickly it went. It was a cool experience, man.
Yeah.
It was cool because I did, like, you also worked on that. So it wasn't just like like with my brother, it's like I'm proud of my brother for doing that thing. And you know, if when a friend does well, it's like, oh, good job, you did that. But with Artemis, it's like I know like 15 people who have worked to make that happen, and they're all like elated right now
Yeah.
because it worked. And I had a realization. I forget who I was talking to earlier this week. I was talking to my client. My client is also an engineer, my real estate client. And he's putting together a team to get this VA house built, right? And he was like, I've put together a team. We're all engineers, and we all have so much ambition. We have side gigs. So like my mortgage lender is an engineer, but he's also a mortgage lender. And my real estate agent is an engineer, but he's also a real estate agent.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. And he was like, I think that we all work well together because engineers have a common goal of like picking a goal and then laying out distinct steps to get there, and then building it with your hands and then watching it work. And that sense of accomplishment from watching that thing work is what drives us. And that was after the Artemis launch, and we weren't even talking about the Artemis launch, but I connected the two in my mind as, oh, that's why the Artemis launch is so important to me, is because it's years of work from all these people, and it's that moment of accomplishment where you start the car and it actually runs, right?
Yeah.
And so it was a cool experience. I'm very glad I got to go. I'm very proud of my dad.
Yeah.
I made an Instagram post for him as well,
Cool.
which is like I never really make social media posts. I think I've posted like once in the last like 2 years on Instagram, but I did one for my brother and one for my dad because I wanted to remember those moments. So yeah, very proud of him.
Very cool.
That was the Artemis launch. My brother, on the same day as the Artemis launch, couldn't come because he was in the centrifuge doing his G-force testing. And so for Future Mason, he had to pull up to 7 Gs in the centrifuge, but it's not just up to 7. It's like up to 3 and then to 6 and then down to 3 and then up to 7 and then down to 5 and then 7.5. Like it's sustained Gs over the course of time. And he crushed it. He said it was harder than he expected it to be, but he did not pass out at all. It doesn't even look like he came close to passing out,
Yeah.
which is impressive. So I'm also very proud of him. My family had a big weekend.
Very cool.
I also got my new Whoop. So this is my new fancy medical grade
Oh,
Whoop.
nice. There you go.
Yeah, you can actually get the silver part I'm not used to. And it's like reflective. So every once in a while I'll see a shiny thing out of the corner of my eye and I'm like, what is that? But this is a new medical grade Whoop that tracks your blood pressure, and it's got an echocardiogram in it as well. So it does more stuff than what my original one did. They also sent me a box to clean my old one to gift to Grace, with a new strap to gift to Grace. And it was a really nice box that it came in with, like a little like alcohol wipe in there to clean your Whoop. It was really well done. So super cool from a business perspective. Like taking the hardware from one client, and instead of like doing a core swap or whatever, you're doing essentially a core swap, but you're having them do the lead gen by giving it to someone, which is cool. So Grace has signed up for it too now. I really want to get a second strap for this one, because the whole reason I figured out about this is because my strap for the last one was getting really nasty. And I was like, I should get a second strap to wear while I'm working out.
Right.
So I've got one that gets gross and one that stays nice. And when I was looking for another strap, I realized I didn't sell them for the 4.0 anymore. Now, coincidentally, I have one because they gave me a new one for Grace. I want to buy one for this, but I want a navy blue strap with the gold instead of the silver. And they said they were out of stock for the gold for like a week. I was keeping tabs on it, and now they just don't have it as an option at all. So I might get
eBay.
like an all black one. You think so?
100%.
I'll take a look.
Yeah. eBay does a lot of like because the thing is like people will buy that shit in bulk, and then they'll go sell it on eBay once it goes out of stock for like 20% markup or whatever. Like eBay is like my go-to for shit like that.
I wonder.
That's what I always do.
I see something on eBay.
Yeah. eBay is a good
Dude,
good spot.
that's a great call. AliExpress. Ayo. I don't know.
From Chinesium.
I bought something from AliExpress and it was great. What was it? They have it.
Yep. There you go.
Is AliExpress a scam, or is it trustworthy?
I mean,
It's
I guess
20
it's
bucks.
kind of 50-50. Usually you look at the reviews on the seller, see how many there are, see what the star rating is. It can take a while to get to you, of course.
Yeah. Well, it's better than Whoop never getting it to me. I did make a post in the Whoop Reddit because I've seen Whoop, the company, their official Reddit page, respond to people in there. So I made a post in there. We'll see if they reply. But eBay or AliExpress is a good shot, so I might check that out.
Yeah.
I've read that Whoop 4.0, 5.0, and the MG are all on the NSA cleared list to wear in the SCIFs, the Secret Compartmentalized Information Facilities, SCIF. So there's a chance that I might be able to wear it at work. It's down to my CPSO, my Chief Program Security Officer, to determine whether or not I'm allowed to have it. Because at the end of the day, even if the NSA says it's okay, program security needs to clear it, because not all programs are made equal. So like technically something might be secret, but I work in a secret SAP facility, so special access program, which is a different flavor of secret. So it might not be allowed, right? Also, top secret spaces are handled differently. So I might be cleared for some areas, but not others. But I filled out the form as soon as I got this to see if they might greenlight me. And Northrop Grumman has not greenlit this device yet. So it's going to take longer for them to process my paperwork to see. But there's a chance I might be able to wear it at work, which would be really cool, because right now I'm having to take it off for most of the day and it's not logging my information. So what's the point in having it if I only wear it for half the day? So yeah, so far I'm happy with it. I'll show you some of this stuff later on. Oh, and today I'm going to show you this now. So if you'll remember, my Whoop age, my biological age, was 24.2 or something like that, right? It updates once a week. So I went from aging at a regular rate of aging is 1.0, right? I was aging at 0.2. So aging pretty slowly, right? But not aging at all. But I've been working out more and more consistently, and they updated it this week. And now I'm at 23.7, and I'm at negative 0.6, which means that I'm actually moving in the opposite direction. Where
good.
I'm healthier than an average 24-year-old would be, and I'm moving backwards, which is cool.
Cool.
So yeah, they've got some cool stuff in there, and this is their like ECG
Mhm.
recording thing
Oh,
and the
nice.
blood pressure recording thing. So yeah, it's cool stuff.
Very cool.
But anyways, wanted to give a shout to that. That's my life update.
Nice.
What is your and Grace made breakfast for Easter breakfast today, and we had a bunch of people over, which is the first time we've had people over to the apartment for like an event. I didn't really know what was happening, but it went well. It was fun.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's my life update. What's your business update?
So for business this week, I was gonna meet up with Steve, the guy who gave me a lot of the stuff. But because of scheduling conflicts and stuff like that with the Artemis launch, and he was also out of town for half the week.
Was he giving you more stuff?
What we were gonna do is I was gonna get the paperwork,
Hmm.
like the titles, the
Yeah.
manuals, stuff like that. Um, Also, um, I have to look up the lengths and part numbers for axles, sway bars, torsion bars, and shocks.
Because he might have more,
Mm-hmm.
but it might be 911s.
Yeah, and
Got
we
it.
don't know yet.
Got it.
So that stuff, as well as going through the seat belts, side mirrors, rear view mirrors, and license plate lights.
Cool.
So that stuff there, I have to get some part numbers together, and see about that stuff, and then we'll meet up this coming week. But for the storage unit, I didn't work in the storage unit this week. I worked in my own garage this week to try and organize some stuff. I'm like about halfway done,
Mhm.
I think, ish. But essentially, what I'm trying to do is maybe a little bit less than halfway done because it'll take me a little bit of time to go through the odds and ends. But I'm trying to get a lot of the parts I have scattered around to a more condensed location
Mhm.
so that I can pull some stuff out of the garage and move it into the back porch,
Gotcha.
like a little bit more of it. Like the wood hurricane boards that I have, and some bins,
Mhm.
stuff like that. I'm trying to pull into the back porch so that I can free up more like lateral space
Mhm.
next to the 914 and hopefully squeeze a welder in there.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of what I'm trying to do now. That's part of like my one step at a time thing is like this experience has been a lot different than e-commerce because with e-commerce I felt as though you could get up and running within a week
Mhm.
for sure, and then it was just about like optimization and testing.
Mhm.
Whereas like the front load on this process is a lot more because it's like I need to learn welding and fabrication, and I need to make space for that.
It's
I
physical
need to get that equipment, and
Yeah.
I need to actually be able to effectively sell some stuff on eBay that I don't need, so I don't have to be paying out the ass for a storage unit. And then I also like long term need to figure out better spacing for this stuff. And actually like working on this stuff consistently. It's a lot of stuff like you don't see the car drive until like 6 months of work, right? Whereas like
Or
you
yeah.
can run ads within a day.
Right.
So it's like very, very different in that respect. So that's kind of just been like why it's like one step at a time for me in that respect. And it's not that I'm not working on it. It's just stuff that's more time consuming from that end.
Dude, when Shaw and I were working on the Lexus, he had a 1999 or 96 SC300. And when I met him, he had torn the car down to like the chassis. There was no motor, there was no interior, it was a bare bones chassis. And he had cleaned up and painted like the engine bay. And the first day that I went over to hang out with him, it was to help him get the block, which he had cleaned out and had hot dip galvanized, out of his Camaro trunk to get loaded onto the engine stand to start rebuilding the process. So I met him at the rebuild phase, right? And I was like, I remember that day, having never built a car before, I was like, we can have this whole thing done in like 3 months. We could take it to a car show in like December. And dude, everything took so much longer and it cost so much more than I thought it would. And we had a whiteboard. We had a bit, the whiteboard in my storage unit that I almost
Yeah.
gave you. That used to be in our shop. And we had phases broken out and like a Gantt chart style schedule
Yeah.
on there, and everything was broken down. So we had like it was like engine, suspension, brakes, transmission, right? And then we would pick one thing and we would be like, we were gonna do the engine first, and then we would break that down, and then we would have a schedule next to it and like a check mark. And it would take weeks to check off even like one thing, just because half of it was like fabricating new stuff, like if you're taking a naturally aspirated car and making it turbocharged, where are you going to mount the radiator? Okay, you have to make radiator tabs and weld them in. Well, are you welding that in the right spot? Because you also have to, or I'm sorry, I mean the
Intercooler. I got you though. Yeah.
But you also are introducing an oil cooler that we didn't have before, and the manual has a transmission cooler where the automatic didn't. Where you're going to put that? And so, like on top of all this, you're putting in bigger brakes, and now you've got to have larger wheels. So we've got to hammer out the wheel arches. Like everything took so long to do, and I hung out with him for like 2 years, and even by the end of it, we weren't even ready to like test fire the engine when he and I stopped hanging out. And so, like you're right. It takes a long fucking time to do it, and it is just a gnarly process. It's the Alex Ramosi delayed gratification shit, like to the T.
Yeah. So I think it's going to take a while. That's part of the reason why I really want to branch out to a side that is service or racing based for customer cars. Because I can do stuff like maintenance where the car's already together. It's mostly just like take out the part and then put the other one back in. And that stuff I feel very, very comfortable with at a good rate. But when you have a car where you don't know where the nuts and bolts are, you haven't taken it apart before, you're modifying it, you have to do fabrication stuff, I might have to do some CAD work, like that stuff's going to be really long and strenuous and financially consuming.
Right.
And so I want to be able to have cash flow funds on the back end in order to fund that stuff, which is kind of why I'm starting with the how can I sell stuff on eBay? How can I get the space facilitated and organized? How can I just do one step at a time so that I can learn different skills and kind of build this slowly? Because I think it'll probably be like I'm guessing it would be somewhere between around 5 to 10 years before I had like an established style shop with racing stuff oriented, like in the flow of things, right? I think I could probably get like a shop space within 2, right? Like to actually have like consistent flow of customers and be able to have consistent income in order to race. Like at least I'm looking at that like on a 5 to 10 year time horizon. Like it's going to take a while.
Right.
So I think this is more of a thing that like this will be much more oriented towards a longer life journey than like a 3-year pump and then just do something else.
Right.
And so that's kind of what I'm working on this week.
You know what I've never thought of before? Or maybe I have, and it's probably in a podcast episode. A subscription-based mechanic subscription where you pay you're a mom, you don't know anything about cars. Your husband died in the war.
You've mentioned this once.
Have I?
Yeah.
You pay a monthly subscription, and then every time something breaks on your car, you only pay for parts. You don't pay for labor because you're on a subscription base paying for labor, which means that when your car breaks down, you don't owe as much in that moment because you've kind of paid it over time. But it's almost like insurance. It's like car reliability insurance where, you likely don't pay more over time. Like you might win out if your car is healthy, and if your car is unhealthy, then like it's a good thing you had it because you basically finance the labor up front.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good idea. Oh, and the problem with this idea is that people could get it and then their car breaks the next week, right? That's
insurance fraud 101. It would be like a similar bucket to insurance fraud of like people who like buy a car and then it catches on fire. Oh my God, how did that happen?
Yeah.
You know,
but you still pay for parts. So people are still motivated to not like break their shit because they don't get like a payout from it. It's just that they're basically financing the labor because they still are paid for parts.
Yeah.
There's a business in there somewhere, but it's probably it's not the direction you want to go. So I'll can it.
But yeah, like stuff like that. Like this is just gonna take a while.
Yeah.
And like I don't have the funds to like splurge all of it instantaneously. And so I have to learn one step at a time and kind of build this thing out. And it'll take a while to make cool stuff happen. But I think that if I can get some sort of cash flow going, it'll really help on that end of things.
Right.
And I'd really love to have enough cash flow to have someone who can at least like film content for me. And I think AI will get good enough to the point where editing it will be quite easy. Even now, it's quite easy with AI. But to just have that filming aspect, just to have someone else who's setting up the tripod and doing the little filming and stuff like that. I think will make life a lot easier. Working perspective. I've watched a lot of interviews with people who have car channels on different podcasts, like, the guys who run like Donut will go on the Coffee Hour podcast or whatever.
Iced coffee hour?
Yeah, Iced Coffee Hour. And they'll talk about very consistently the biggest thing is like we didn't realize how much longer things take when you have to film and edit your own content. Like it puts a massive damper on your work productivity. And those are people who are doing it as like a full-time job.
Right.
And so I think that'll put a real damper on my ability to make progress. Which is why I'm more interested in the service side, making ads in order to bring that up potentially a little bit, or just talking with people in the community and kind of working from there, and then to kind of pull in the advertising side where someone else can at least film. Because I think that would just make things a little bit easier, a little bit quicker to get going. But this is all stuff this is all theoretical out there in the ether. But I'm going to be finishing up the storage unit after the podcast today, which is like probably later than I'd want to start. But part of my reason for that, because I know it's going to take about like 6 to 8 hours for me to finish that storage unit. But the part of the reason I'm doing that is because I need to be able to stay up later in order to work third shift. So like, for example, today I slept in until 10:30, which is like 4.5 hours past my normal wake up time.
But at least you were able to do it. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so funny, dude. Sammy and I had like a few really funny moments this weekend. She was like, so my windows in the Miata, the bushings are kind of worn on the regulator. And so the window will just like caulk just a little bit when it's going up. And so it'll rub against the seal. And so when I'm putting the windows up or down, like sometimes you just need to like grab it and help it up on the last little bit. And I was trying to put the window down as she was like, can we put the top down? I was like, yeah, sure. So we put the top down, and I was trying to roll the window down on passenger side, and she was sitting there. And like anytime like the window will go down, I'm like, hey Sammy, can you help a brother out? And dude, she went to grab the window and she started pulling up while I had the down switch. I was like, brother, why are you pulling the window up? You just asked me to put the top down. Why would I put the windows up? It was so funny.
Christ,
and then we were playing in the it was so funny. we were playing in the apartment with the cats. And she wanted to put like the little string thing in my boot and like do like cat and boot or whatever kind of thing. Like, oh, it'll be funny or whatever. And she was like, what's that cat called? Pussy in the Boot? And I was like, no, Sammy, Puss in Boots. That's the cat and not Pussy in the Boots. It's so funny. We had a few moments like that. There was another one too that was pretty funny. But anyways, my goal is to oh yeah, she knows I'm working third shift next week, and she set an alarm for me at 7 a.m. today.
Dude, what the fuck?
And I was like, why did you set an alarm? She was like, I wanted to make sure that you woke up on time. I was like, Sammy, I told you like 3 times to try and sleep in so that I could stay up late. She set an alarm on my behalf at 7 in the morning this morning. I was like, bruh.
That's terrible, dude.
So funny.
I'll wake Grace up. Like, I'll get in bed at like midnight. She's been asleep for an hour. And I'll wake her up and I'll be like, did you set an alarm for tomorrow? And she'll say yes every time because she always does. But I just am verifying because I don't want her to oversleep. But I'd rather wake her up in the middle of the night and let her get like more sleep than wake her up in the morning at 7 for an alarm that she doesn't need, you know?
Yeah. But
it's funny.
That was funny times. But anyways, I'm gonna finish up the storage unit tonight. I decided that for my parts organization, I'm doing a garage inventory. I'm still maintaining that for the green 914 I have, the Miata parts, and any BMW parts I have.
Gotcha.
I'm maintaining that because that stuff is like personal stuff that I've had longer, and I already have a logbook that's like 98% complete. I just need to categorize a couple things that I've gotten, which is part of what I'm doing in the garage organization. I'm not doing that same style of structuring for the massive amount of shit in the storage unit. So I think that's going to be a royal time waste, especially given the fact that I'm going to sell a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And given the amount of time I'm going to be working with that stuff, I don't think it would actually be useful for me to have an inventory, because more than likely, like, my memory is really quite good when it comes to parts. Like, I can even like off rip in the garage, if you're like, do you have one of those like tan clips for like the interior on the carpeting. Like I know what bin and bag that's in off of memory. So it's like that stuff like I'm really, really good with. So I think it would be a large time waste to do an inventory like that. But one thing that I did realize very quickly is that if the bin is closed, I have no fucking clue what's in it. As soon as I open up the bin top and I look at the top of it, I know what top to bottom is.
Right.
Right, because then my memory quits. So what I'm doing is, as I organize the bins, I'm taking photos of what's in the bin, and then I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna write a little description for each, print that page out, and tape it on the front of the bin.
It's a good idea.
So that I can walk by each bin and go, okay, this is that bin, whatever.
Right.
And kind of work through stuff that way. I think it'll make it a lot easier.
That's how I have my Legos organized. And I found actually that having a roster, like I knew growing up that I had a lot of Lego. And when I hit college and I was broke in my senior year and I needed to pay off my bar tab from you, I started to look at like what sets can I rebuild to sell. And I would like labor over like a tiny set that was like, it had a resale value of like $90. And I built it and then I was like, I kind of want to keep it now because now I have it constructed. And I was like, well, I mean, I've got so many Legos, I could just sell it. And then I was like, I wonder how many I actually have. So then I categorized my entire collection into a single Excel sheet. And looking at my amassed wealth of Dragon Horde, I go, I don't want to part with any of it. I want it all. I want to have it all. So for me, at least, having a full list of everything is dangerous because I have dragon sickness. I want to keep it, right? And so like looking at my finances and like Quicken and stuff, and I'm looking at like all my different areas that I have money like hidden, right? I go, oh man, I have to retain all of this. I can't give up like any of it, right? And so it's the same thing with car parts. It's like if I have an Excel sheet with everything, then I'm not going to want to get rid of anything. But if I've got a bunch of bins and I don't know what's in any of them, then I can just go through and pick stuff to sell. It doesn't register in my mind.
Yeah, I've been I have like the hoarder sickness about car parts, and I've been trying to break that down. Part of that has been my efforts this week in the eBay listings.
Yeah, dude, I still have my broken water pump on my desk at home.
Yeah,
because I don't want to go.
Your broken OptiSpark, I had it still. I was like, I'll tinker with this sometime. I threw it immediately in the trash.
I'll give you my water.
I was like, I will never deal with this. I was like, I just got to get rid of shit. I just started throwing stuff out.
That's fine. I mean, the thing is, like, in my brain, I'm like, oh, Sander has it, so it's not really gone. I'll never fucking need it. I'll never. If I ever get an OptiSpark problem, I'm gonna buy a brand new one, right?
Yeah, because that one's broken anyway.
Yeah, same deal with the water
I was
pump.
like, oh, maybe I could take it apart and see how it works. I'm like, I'm never gonna fucking do that. I just
the water pump at home is broken, right? And the only reason I haven't thrown it out is because as soon as I replaced the water pump, I started having different cooling issues. And I don't know what's wrong with my car right now. I don't know what's wrong with it. I have a sneaking suspicion that the water pump doesn't work as well when the car is running. That's my sneaking suspicion. I don't know what it is. I still have to do the thermostat check thing. I didn't text you back because I was busy with this
you're
stuff.
good.
But
I was just wondering, like,
I'm going to dig my old thermostat out of the trash because I threw it out yesterday. The one fucking car part that I decided to throw away immediately.
You could honestly probably bolt it together without the gasket in it. Probably be fine.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, like my theory is like, let's eliminate the thermostat entirely, just let it clear flow and see what happens.
Well, and I can see with the key primed and the engine off and the radiator cap off, I can see the flow from the water pump. So I know that the water pump is running with the car off. And even when the car is on, I know the water pump is running because I've had the water pump not run before and it overheats very quickly. And it does not overheat quick enough for that. So I'm just stuck. I don't know what it is. All I can think is that when the first time it overflowed out of the coolant overflow reservoir, it shat everywhere. And there's the mineral deposit fucking all over the place. And I cleaned it up. But all I can think of is like, is there a blockage in there somewhere? Like, is there a big mineral deposit that's like blocking? But like the flow rate is so powerful, especially from boiling water, that like, I think it would clear it out. I don't know.
Also,
I'm just
like,
stuck.
Unless you had like a giant, like unless you pulled out the old thermostat and like, oh man, the entire gasket is missing.
No.
You know, like that's
what
the only.
Fine. I sent you photos of it.
There's so many passages in there that like, I don't think it's clogged. I think pull that thermostat out, let it clear flow, and see if it does the same thing.
Yeah.
Because then that makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah. I'll do that today.
Yeah.
It's actually, I figured out it's one 8mm socket for the whole job.
Oh, cool.
Because the little screwdriver thing. So I have your bag. If you want your tool bag back, you can have it. I would just ask to keep the one long 8mm and a ratchet. That's it.
Yeah.
And then I could do the job as many times as I want with
Yeah, there you go.
that. But
Works for
yeah,
me.
I'll fuck with that this evening and see if I can get it to do it without a thermostat.
Yeah, you can probably keep the bag. I mean, I'm gonna be mostly organizing and doing eBay listing stuff. I shouldn't need to really work on anything. I also have like duplicates of everything.
Right.
So I need to do an oil change on the Miata, but I can just use my other ratchets, like it's fine.
Yeah. Oh, I have to service the Lexus. That's probably next weekend. But next weekend's the Cocoa Beach Air Show.
I'm gonna do mine during the week this week. I'm gonna do it
Yeah, I know.
like tomorrow or Tuesday.
I'm supposed to do the brakes on that too. The rear brakes on the Lexus.
Yeah, I bet you could go another cycle.
You think so?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
They squeak sometimes.
Do them. But I mean, I think you can get another 5,000 out of them. It's up to you.
I don't know.
Either way,
I like to bluff on the edge.
the garage organization, I went through that stuff. Oh, so part of my getting rid of shit I don't need anymore has been the eBay listing. So I listed the 4 magazines that are duplicates that I have. I've decided to keep the other ones until all of them are sold out on the 000 website, because
Good idea.
after that point, the value doubles essentially. But I'm just selling the 4 duplicates I have just to get a little bit of cash flow. I listed them like a little bit high at like 150 a pop. And I've seen them sell around that.
Okay.
Sold listings. Like I've seen ones that sell a lot more quickly listed at like 125 or 100, like very quickly they'll sell. But I have some views and some watchers and stuff like that on them, so I think they'll sell. I may drop the price a little bit, but I also listed the Magnus Walker Hot Wheel display that I have with the figurine. Those sell for about like 275, 300. I listed it for 250. Think
That's a
that
good
would be an
price.
easy sell. It sold overnight. It's already gone.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that was sold like that. It was gone.
Quick cash.
Yeah. So that sold. And then also when I meet up with Steve, I'm gonna ask him about the welder that he has, the Lincoln welder that he said I could borrow on loan indefinitely. I'm gonna ask him about that. And then as I'm doing some of this reshuffling and eBay listing stuff, I'll be getting into the fabrication courses as well. So that's all stuff that I'm working on right now, kind of doing on the business side of things, but a lot of it is going through parts, some eBay listings, tidying up stuff. I have to figure out. So I moved to that chassis on the wooden pallet by myself, like up on jack stands. It was horrendous.
Sounds horrendous.
Horrible. Because I essentially had to deadlift the back end of it while I kicked jack stands over like 6 inches. It was fucking terrible. I thought I was actually going to hurt myself. And so I may ask for, if I can't devise a good solution to that, I may ask for like 30 minutes of your help
That's fine.
to move that at
Yeah.
some point this week. Yeah, it was super sketchy
Mhm.
because like the whole car like folds. There's no floor pan in it.
Right.
So like the whole car bends when you lift it up, like
That's terrifying.
one end of it. Oh yeah, super sketchy. I had to like climb on it, and I was like, "Am I gonna die tonight?" It's like 1 in the morning. I was like, "No one will find me. I will bleed out in this storage unit. No one will find me."
Just keep your phone within reach so you can call 911.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I have like a couple ideas. I'm thinking I can lift the car up enough to put the wheel rollers, the wheel dollies I have underneath the pallet that's broken,
Okay.
and then kind of roll it that way. I'm gonna pick up some hardware on my way home. One of the casters is missing a nut, and so the bolt pulls out, and then the caster kind of like tips.
Right.
So I have a piece of hardware I'm picking up on my way home. But that's about it I have for business this week. Kind of some odd end stuff, and then doing more tonight into this week.
Gotcha.
So that's what I got.
Cool.
What do you have for business this week?
I have a lot of client updates.
Okay.
So we had a seller lead. We have a seller lead. One of Grace's ex-customers from the Kava bar contacted her, and he said, "Hey, my boss is selling her property in Grant. She's been trying to sell it for a while, but her real estate agent sucks, and so I referred her to you guys. So apparently they are close to expiring. So once her listing expires, she could reach out to us and we could try to sell that property. That's interesting. Usually when a property expires on the market, it's because it's listed for too much and people don't buy it and the real estate agent's too soft to tell the client that. But you never know, it could have other issues with it too. Ultimately, price is always the indicator. Like if you price a house for free, someone will take it, right? So there's a happy place somewhere in the price, but I'm curious to see where that goes.
Hmm.
Um, our buyer, who is using a VA loan to buy a plot of land and build a house, picked out properties that we liked last week, and they decided that that's the area that they want to build in. So now that we have a general area, we have to go talk to builders and have engineering plans drawn up.
Mm.
And then we match up those engineering plans with a survey from the property that we go under contract on, make sure that those are all happy. Then they close on the property and the construction loan all at once, right? So we kind of have to do everything in tandem. But the first step was figure out what area do you want to build in. They figured it out. Then I found a list of builders who are willing to work with them in their particular circumstances. The builder wants to be, or the owner wants to be involved in the build. So like they want to be the one to, whatever, like put up the drywall or like, put in the flooring, stuff like that. They want to be involved in building their own home. And that's not a conventional style. Usually builders like it when you shut up and they just do their job. Largely because of liability reasons, but also because if you're not paying super close attention, then it's okay if their guys on the job site don't put something fully in square, right? Not all builders are that way, but generally speaking, if you're working on a car, you don't always want the customer hovering over your shoulder,
Yeah.
right? Um, so we have a list of 5 builders that meet the criteria, and so we're calling them one by one. So we scheduled 3 calls this week. We did all 3 of them. One of them was weird. He was like, the first 20 minutes of the call, he was like, "Tell me more. What do you guys want to do?" And then after 20 minutes, he like cut my client off and he was like, "Yeah, actually, you know what? I don't think we're a good fit." And my client was like, "Okay, can you tell me why?" And the guy was like, "No, no, I don't think so." And my client was like, "Okay." And that was it. We just ended the call. And so it was super weird. The other 2 guys,
Huh.
one of them was like, "You can't be as involved in the build as you want," putting a hard stop on that. But we can still meet all your other criteria. We'll custom design you a house. We're a reasonable price, whatever. And then the other guy is like, "Oh, we're like a super custom home builder. Like, we can kind of make anything happen. Um, we'll pull all the proper like legal permits and stuff like that, and we'll get you where you need to go. It's just going to cost more money." And then the last guy was like, he basically broke up with him over the phone. I was like, I haven't been dumped on the phone since high school. This is crazy. But that's going well. We still have 2 more calls with builders, and then my client will pick a builder. We'll draw up plans. We'll go from there.
Got it.
Our second buyer is our fellow agent recommended us as agents to this guy who was renting a year ago. His lease is up. Now he has the money to buy a townhome. And so he was like, "I want to use you guys to buy a townhome." Sounds good. We scheduled some showings. We asked him how much he's been approved for. He says he's been in talks with a lender and he knows what his monthly budget is. We said, "Cool. You should probably get a pre-approval though, just so you know. Send these listings that you're looking at to a lender to make sure that you can actually get pre-approved."
Hmm.
And he was like, "Okay, sounds good." Looking at the 3 options, one of them has a lien out against the property. And if you are using a loan to buy a property, most instances you cannot put a property on a home that has a lien. The lien has to be satisfied and the bank doesn't want to pay for it. So usually you have to pay out of pocket for that. So usually when there's a property with liens against it from like unpaid HOA dues or something along those lines, then you kind of have to pay all cash. You got to be an all cash buyer. Additionally, this one was a short sale, meaning the seller, or I'm sorry, the owner seller, can't pay the bank, and they're like, "Hey, bank, we're gonna have to sell this property. Can't make the payments anymore, but we're gonna get less than what is owed on the mortgage." So if I owe $200,000, I'm gonna list it for sale at 180. The bank agrees to eat that 20 grand, right? And the bank agreed. So it's a short sale. We talked to our client and he was like, "Oh, I definitely don't have that cash on hand, so let's nix that one." Okay, cool. We still have 2 showings scheduled, right? And then he spoke with his lender and he was like, "Hey, I actually can't afford it. I have to rent for 1 more year." So we gained and lost a client this week. Let's see. I have a buyer lead. We're still waiting to see. This is the person with the bad debt to income ratio, but good income. We are still waiting to see if the lender can get them approved for a down payment assistance program, but I haven't heard from him in a couple of days, so I'm guessing it's a no. I have to verify. But they were starting to wig out, so I sent them some rental options to say, hey, here are the kind of properties that you have available to you in case you can't get a down payment. You can get approved for renting a house in under 2 weeks. You have until the middle of May, so you've got tons of time. And so they gave me a 5-star Google review, which was kind of them. And they just asked me this morning to go see a rental. So, or actually, they asked to apply for a rental. So I have to get some info from the listing agent first.
Cool.
But that's going well.
Very nice.
Yep. And then my last update is that I had a rental lead who I was trying to get a tour scheduled for a property where a guy is currently living. His lease ended on Wednesday. So I reached out to the listing agent again and I was like, now that he's out of the house, can I schedule a tour? No reply. And then the next day I was like, hey buddy, what's going on? And he was like, oh yeah, here's the lockbox code. You can go see the house. I'm like, okay. So I reach out to my client. I go, hey, we can finally schedule this tour. And he goes, oh, fuck, dude, we signed with an apartment complex like this morning. And I was like, I'm happy for you. That's all good. And so I wound up bumping into him later on in the week. And he was like, dude, I'm so sorry. And I was like, for what? And he was like, oh, well, I didn't tell you. And like, it slipped my mind and whatever. And I cost you money. And I was like, you didn't cost me money. And he was like, well, yeah, because of the sale. And I was like, no. You didn't buy a house. You're renting a house. And so like, I'm supposed to charge you a fee for real estate services, but I equate a fee to the price of a Google review. So that's all I would have charged you. Like, you don't owe me money. And he was like, oh, okay, that's awesome. I didn't know that. So he left me a Google review.
Oh,
So I got 2 Google reviews this week,
Nice.
which is great. And I was like, oh man, I feel good because I'm at like 5 or 6 Google reviews now. And I've been stuck at like 3 forever. And so I was like, I wonder what other agents in my brokerage have. And there's one agent who is about as new as I am and has made a comparable number of sales as I have, but he has 30 Google reviews. And I was like, that's crazy because I know he hasn't made 30 sales. And sometimes you get like a family and then they all give you a Google review, but 30 is a lot. And so I went through and I was reading the Google reviews and I was like, wait, I know these people. I know these people don't live here. I know these people aren't clients. And then I go, oh, he just sent his Google profile to buddies and then they all wrote Google reviews. And I was like, that's a clever method. And I briefly considered doing that. And then I thought better of it. And I was like, actually, I want valid metrics because I need to know if my business is working or not. So I decided against doing that. So most of my work this week was on the business context document, which I now have complete.
Nice. There you go.
I need to proofread it one more time. I'm at 62 pages. So I did some formatting changes and I fixed it, but it's a fucking big one, dude. I wrote a lot. And so the other day you recommended giving it to Claude and then saying, hey, find inconsistencies and find problems. I restated a lot of answers in here, so I don't think there should be any, but I still have to run it through Claude to double check and make sure.
Yeah.
I also have to make sure that it can read the screenshots that I have in here because I have screenshots of like my proof over promise package and my
If
my
it,
equal
it
tables,
should be able to read the text.
like these things.
Yeah, it can read that.
Cool. Then yeah, it should be good to go. So I'll have Claude proofread it tonight. And then I can upload it to the knowledge base. I'll buy the Claude desktop app and I'll get moving and shaking on ad writing. So
Cool.
hopefully this time next week, I'll have some draft ads written up that I can start moving forward with. But this is good because if I have draft ads written up this week and then I start tinkering around with filming the following week, then I'm lined up to run the ads after my big work deadline at the end of April. It's April 20th. The 24th. That is my deadline. And so that's hopefully my ads will line up with after that when my workload lightens up a little bit. And I have a full week after that I think I can do all that from home. This is my cost account manager training. I think I can do all that from my low side laptop from home. So if I can do that, then that would be great because I could kind of keep an eye on my ads while I'm doing my work stuff.
Yeah.
I have to actually pay attention to those things and take notes, but I focus better at home than at work anyways. So that's good. And if there's huge issues with the ads, then I can jump on it. So yeah, that's my business update.
Very nice. Very nice.
What lessons did you learn this week?
My lesson this week was one step at a time. So, this stuff is all a process. I think that looking at it kind of backwards, it feels like stuff is moving slow in the moment. But given that it's the start of April and I only really started putting effort into this like halfway through February, maybe. I think a month and a half, if I look back and see like I now have eBay listings going, I have sort of a direction and plan. I have a lot more connections to different people in the community. I have stuff to sell. I have some movement in that regard. I think it's decent progress in that respect. And I think things will pick up as I have more space and resources in order to actually knock stuff out. But looking at the progress that I've made on my own, the Green 914, as well as all the other stuff accumulated with that, I think it's good. It's not great, but it's good.
What do you think would make it great?
I think I just need to work more hours on it.
Gotcha.
I think that, there are definitely, there are some days where I come home from work and I'm tired, and I probably only do maybe 2 hours of work where I could do 3 or 4.
I've experienced the same thing, especially trying to get more sleep lately. It's like, whereas before, I feel like I would stop working at like 11:30, and then I would go home and go to sleep, and I would get to bed at like 12:30. But now it's like I'll stop working at 10, but I'm not getting to sleep until like 11:30. And so, whereas before I would work longer and then only take an hour to get ready for bed, now I'm working less, but I'm still taking an hour and a half. I'm taking an hour and a half to get to bed now.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it earlier and I'm taking longer.
Yeah.
So
So I think it's a couple of similar kind of thing.
yeah,
Um,
I think where I could improve is getting to bed faster, like closing the laptop and then doing my nightly routine quicker. Because right now my nightly routine takes too long.
that I'm good about, but sometimes I just go to bed really early and then I wake up really early. Like sometimes I'll get home from work and I'll do a few things and I'm just like exhausted from the work day, and I'll go to bed at like 8:30. But I'll wake up at like 4:30 in the morning.
But you're not doing Porsche work that early. You just go to work.
Yeah,
early.
like I just go to work early, but then what happens is I get caught up in something at work, and then I'm there until the same time I would have been if I'd gotten in at like 7:30 or 8.
Right.
And so I'm putting more hours, but I'm not getting really paid for those hours because I'm just salary position. So it's kind of like one of those things.
Right.
And so I think part of the hurdle has been I haven't recognized, really silly enough, I haven't recognized what I can do outside of the storage unit and eBay listings. And the really hard part about the storage unit during the week is that for me to get everything out, work in the storage unit, and get everything back in, like I need at minimum like a 4-hour chunk of time, because it takes me about 30-45 minutes to get stuff out. And then if I want to do any sort of reasonable progress, I need 2 to 3 hours in there.
Right.
And then to get it all back in is also a process. And so like that window of time is sometimes tough to find. Like you can find breaks of time, but because I have to pull everything out and then everything has to go back in by the time I'm done,
Right.
I'm restricted. Like I need that solid chunk of time. And then like for running errands after work, or dealing with, the bank, or delivering rent, or getting groceries, or whatever it is, like that stuff will break up periods of time like that.
Right.
And so it's like if I'm starting at 8, I'm kind of guaranteeing myself to go to bed at the earliest at like midnight.
Right.
And then if I have to be up at like 6 or whatever for work, like I've sustained that before.
But it blows.
Yes, but also it's tougher now because the work is more demanding.
Right.
And so I have to be more on my ball, like at work.
Yeah.
And I really don't want to be like doing this sort of thing where I'm like compromising the work at Blue Origin for the stuff I'm doing elsewhere. Because I'm really trying to learn these processes, and I do A, enjoy the job overall, but B, like the job is important to me because it's the way I'm affording my living right now.
Right.
Whereas in like when I was at NASA, like I had other income, and also the work was less demanding.
Right.
And I didn't feel as passionate about it. So like it was a different environment in that respect. And so it's just made it a little bit tougher to do that side of things. But I think that I've seen myself, like once I get into the flow of things, like it's easy for me to keep that flow.
Yeah.
And I've seen that currently and in my past. And so I think once this storage unit is organized and I have a good strategy for eBay listings, I can really start to crank that out, pay off that debt, because that's like my big first thing is like
Right.
pay off the debt. After that point, I think I'll be a really good spot where I'm like, okay, I can be debt free now. I have this income coming in that I don't need to use on expenses. Now, what can I do with it?
Mhm.
And I think that'll be a lot easier
Yeah.
in that respect. But right now, it's kind of like at a little bit of a lull while I'm learning these different skills and also trying to fix my financial situation and kind of get the ball rolling on stuff. So it's a little bit of like kind of like a drag
Yeah.
in that respect. But obviously, progress is made every week, so it will get there.
Yeah. I'm at a similar spot with work where it's like work at work is engaging and takes energy, a lot more energy than what I'm used to because our timeline is condensed. So I'm
Hmm.
having to like put in real effort. But what's interesting to me is that usually I go to work, I'm understimulated, I get tired, and then I have to really work to get myself like out of a funk to get into working after work. But in the past, my work after work has been more engaging than the actual work that I do. But what I've been doing recently is my clients are only really active during the day. So I go in and I work my engineering job. I make calls on my lunch break. I'm engaged all day. And then I go to the gym. And then at the end of the night, it's like, okay, all my clients have gone to sleep. So there's no work to do for my clients. Now it's just sit and like write in this business context document and just talk about how nothing's working and how I suck and I'm putting in all these hours and nothing's working. And that is not exciting to me or engaging. So like now, whereas I'm used to my brain being turned off all day and then I turn it on at night to work, now my brain is on all day and then my brain wants to shut off at night because I'm not doing very engaging stuff. And so I'm excited to be done with this business context document because getting like I would be so much more engaged working on ads and ideating ads like once they're running on Facebook and like crunching lead numbers and stuff like that. That is engaging to me. And so I'm excited to get to that point where I can be doing engaging stuff at work during the day and then engaging stuff at night also, and eventually transition to doing all real estate all the time because it's all engaging to me apart from this business context document stuff.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, somewhere spot where it's like work is taking energy away from the out of work stuff.
Yeah, yeah. But it'll come together. Um, and yeah, it'll all come together. Just gotta keep going with it. So, what do you have for your lesson learned this week?
My lesson is related to something that my dad taught me. So I at the art. So this is a couple different things that I've kind of pieced together. But I said last week I started writing out different documents for people with lessons that I've learned from them. Like in particular, like I learned a lesson from you. Here it is, right? And one of the lessons that I learned was from my dad. Um, when I was younger, I feel like everyone our age had the common shared experience of like having their dad teach them math at the kitchen table after dinner. And I feel like most kids experience their dad like getting frustrated and like breathing out of their nose and being angry, right? But I didn't have that. My dad was very patient and he was a good teacher and he knew what he was doing. And I was actually the one who would get frustrated because I would do 10 problems, he would grade them, I'd get them all wrong, and then he'd teach me how to do them, and then he'd ask me to explain why I got them wrong, and I would explain it, and then I would do a different set of 10 problems, and instead of improving, the same thing would happen where I'd get all 10 wrong. And so then I would get frustrated, but he wouldn't be because I would have made different mistakes. So I would still get the problems wrong, but like the same, like a quadratic formula, right? But I would be making different errors than I did the previous time. And so the lesson that he taught me is that it's okay to make mistakes so long as you only make them once, right? Because making mistakes repeatedly is an indicator that you're not learning, but making a mistake once is an opportunity to learn. And that came to fruition watching the Artemis II launch go off without a hitch because it took Artemis 1 4 times to get off the ground. They had different problems every single time, and none of those problems arose for Artemis 2. It all went well. And one of the lessons that they learned from Artemis 1 is if you're having a problem with your hydrogen leakage, fucking roll back and fix it the first time before you even try to do a launch, right? And that's exactly what they did for Artemis 2 is they rolled back and they fixed it. And they didn't try to launch 3 times. They fixed it properly in the VAB. And so it was intriguing to me to see the lesson that my dad taught me to watch him practice that lesson in real life, which was cool. And then in writing my business context document, it's important to track your mistakes, because if you don't track your mistakes, how do you know if you're not making the same mistake multiple times, right? Which is part of the reason that we do the podcast, is to like encapsulate our mistakes on camera and to be held accountable by ourselves and our peers. But in the business context document, it's a lot of questions about like, what are you doing and why isn't it working? And how many times have you tried it and what different ways have you tried it? And everything that I'm writing is me encoding this is what I've tried and this is why it didn't work. And then this is how I changed it and it's why it didn't work. And so I'm making note of all the mistakes that I'm making or the reason that things aren't working, which is helping me crystallize how I want to move forward with running ads. And the biggest mistake that I've made in every lead generation that I've done so far, in every method that I've tried, is that I haven't done enough volume. It's like I send out 200 postcards, but I'm only sending out it once, right? And people say that you need to make contact like 6 times with the lead to convert them. So I'd have to send out 6 postcards and then probably go door knocking in the neighborhood, right? But after sending one round of 200 postcards, I go, God, I felt like that did nothing, right? And I don't want to sink another $600 into this. So like, I'm just going to skip the next 4 rounds, right? Or when I do handwritten letters, I do handwritten letters to everybody, but I only do it once, right? Or I'm running Facebook ads, but it's only $5 a day spend and it's on a static ad because it looks similar to what the top agent's doing. And he's been paying for that ad since 2024. So it probably works, right? And none of it is enough volume. And so a big mistake that I'm carrying forward and learning from going into the Facebook ads is this time, instead of not giving enough spend or enough effort into the Facebook ad like I did the first time, instead I'm going to do enough volume that I either go broke or it works. So that's my lesson this week, is it's okay to learn from mistakes so long as you only make them once.
Yeah. I like that. I dig it. You have a dial in for us?
I do. This is actually a quote from my dad from this weekend. And he was talking about how the leader of NASA right now, he owns a company that bought retired military aircraft from other countries, and then they used that aircraft to test against U.S. aircraft, right? I forget what it's like Deacon or something like that is the name of the company. I can't remember. But he was talking about how NASA traditionally has approached things in an engineering fashion, and now an entrepreneur is in charge and they're approaching things differently. And so he's paying attention to what those differences are, and not that one is better than the other, but he's just noting the differences. And he had a quote because he said he identifies more from the engineering position, but he sees the entrepreneurial angle from me, and he finds it interesting that there's a difference between us in that way. But he said, engineers pick a destination, then meticulously develop a step-by-step plan to get there. Entrepreneurs take a direction and then move toward their goal using whatever step is ahead of them.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That's what I got.
Good quote.
It is a good quote.
Well, thank you for tuning in to episode 103 of the Vision 79 podcast. Hope you have a great week coming up, and we will see you next time.